Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we are going to be transplanting this crazy aloe vera. Do you remember this aloe vera when I got it? Maybe a year ago, I think. Maybe a year and a half ago. I think I might have gotten it not this past summer, but the summer before last. And it was just a small little piece, maybe a couple of pieces, but they didn't have any roots. And they needed these sticks to have them propped up. And now it's just gigantic. I've given pieces away to friends that don't have aloes, so I'm passing it forward or paying it forward. And this thing here is in this little clay pot, which is okay. The roots generally aren't terribly huge, but as you might know, if you grow any succulents that get large, they get really top heavy. So this one was sitting on my dresser in the bedroom, and it's constantly sitting against the wall. It's leaning because it can't support itself because the pot is too small. So today we're going to transplant it. Got to be careful here because it's going to try to fall over. Give me a second to figure that out. Alright, we're good. We're going to transplant it into this pot here. It's a nice shallow dish pot, and being that it's shallow, it's not going to be easily tipped. Whereas the other one is more tall in comparison. So this one here, I actually got this on sale at one of my local garden centers. Sheridan Nurseries if you are in the Toronto area. This one was originally $34.99. It's heavy. It's terracotta. And originally $34.99, and I got it for 70% off. So I think with that and the saucer, it was maybe $12 or $13, which was a fantastic deal. Oh my goodness. Part of being an avid gardener and plant addict is getting a really good deal, especially on pots. Pots are so expensive for whatever reason. So anyway, this one has huge drainage holes, and you really want drainage holes when it comes to cactus/succulents because they need to drain very, very well. If they're left to sit in moist soil for too long, there could be a problem with rot. Depending on what you're growing, some things don't mind it, some things really hate it. So know your plant that you're potting, and get a pot to suit. So today we're going to use just a basic potting soil. This is actually that seed starting mix that I still have left over. Hopefully I get rid of that soon. So this is really, really fine. It's well draining, got lots of perlite in there, but we're also going to add some more perlite. I'm also going to add some orchid bark because I have it. This is going to add a little bit more organic to the soil, and it's also going to allow water to drain more freely. This is going to really loosen up the mix. So the peat moss in this is going to retain a little bit of soil. Everything else is going to allow the water to run through, so it's not sitting in there in a bowl of muck. Yeah, so anyway, let's just get to it. I'll bring the camera down a little bit, and let's just start. Okay, so to start, I'm going to apologize in advance for the angle. I hope you're able to see everything all right. This is a big deal. It's a big plant, so hopefully you're able to see what I'm doing. I'm going to try to lean things so that you're able to see appropriately. So first things first, you always want to cover your drain holes so that, especially drain holes that are as big as that, your soil's just gonna pile right through. You can use clay, broken clay pots to cover it. You can use a sponge. You can use paper towel. You can use coffee filters. You can use larger stones. Whatever you use, as long as you cover them up. Some people will use screen. Whatever you use, as long as it keeps the soil in and allows moisture out. Excuse me. So with this soil mix, it is really dry. So I'm just going to add a couple of scoops in here. Pardon me if I cough. It's really dusty. I need to water this stuff. Break up any chunks. Hope there's no spiders in there. Look at all the dust coming out of that. Wow. So I'm just going to move that off to the side. Going to add some more perlite in there. Like I feel like a witch with my brew. Some orchid bark in there. There's a lot of mixes out there for cactus and succulents that you can use. This is what I like to do. Excuse me. Just as long as it drains freely. I usually like to use a more coarse bark, but a more fine bark. This is a very coarse bark. So now we're going to try to lift this out of the pot. This can be a tricky thing sometimes. Alright, can you see that? See, the root system's not terribly big. It's not really crowded in its pot, per se, from a root perspective, but I need to move it into a bigger pot solely for stability. As this thing gets bigger, it's only going to get more top heavy, so I wanted to move it out of the way and give it the correct home before it falls to the ground and breaks and damages the plant. Because the plant is really starting to look beautiful. Let's take these stakes out of here. We don't need these. They're just getting in the way right now. I will add them back in when we're done, and they're falling to the ground. So, sometimes it's easier to do this when you've got a few people. As you can see, they're falling apart. So, let's just maneuver it into the pot there. We're trying to center it as best we can. I'm going to get these sticks back in here. I'll get the other one later. Oh goodness. Back to the dusty soil. If I was smart, I would be mixing this soil first and then adding it pre-mixed and potentially pre-moistened. You don't want to overwater a cactus or succulent when it's been transplanted. If you do, sometimes when you transplant, you're damaging roots, and if you excuse me, my God, that's dusty. If you overwater broken roots, or if you water broken roots, it can speed along rot issues. So you just want to allow your plant to usually sit for about a week before you water it in when it comes to a cactus or a succulent. That way it gives the wounds time to callus, and excuse me, sorry. It gives the wounds time to callus, and hopefully you don't have a rot issue. But again, rules are meant to be broken. You might have situations where you've watered it right away and everything went fine. It's just a rule of thumb. If you've had a problem with rotting before, that could be the reason. Oh, I can taste the soil. It's gritty in my mouth. Alright. It's so hard to deal with. I'm going to add some bark in here. This one I will water in at the end because I didn't go and I didn't break any roots. And because this one is flopping all around, I need to secure the root system in there. Actually, it's not doing so badly right now. In time, they will find their level again, and they'll stand up again. I also have, as you can see, I don't know whether you're able to see very well, but there's something else growing in here. This is a type of kalanchoe. Not sure what type it is. It's one of the mother of millions or something like that, where it grows the babies along the leaves, which is really, really cool. It doesn't really get a big leaf. The leaf stays very small on this particular one. Small and narrow, very fine. and you just get babies everywhere. Excuse me. Take off any dead bits. This looks like heck right now, but it will grow in. Let me just get this other stake. I'm going to plunge that down right in here. And we can, I'm going to use some of this fantastic Velcro. It's like a twist tie, but it's Velcro. And it's reusable. And it's fabric. So it's not like a hard metal that will damage the plant over time. Just going to bring it in here and Velcro it to the stick. Just like that. Just to hold it up a little bit. A little bit of support. Never hurt anyone. Alright, I think I'm going to need a little bit more for the other one. I love aloe. There's so many uses for it. It's a beautiful plant. And yeah, so now we've got it. It's all in its home. This time I'm going to water it in because this mix was so dry. I'll give you guys an update on it in a few months, maybe in the springtime, show you how it's getting along, and fingers crossed it does well. I'm sure it will. Hopefully it doesn't tip over in its spot anymore. But that was just a basic repot of a aloe vera. I would do the same thing for any cactus or succulent. Depending on what type of succulent or cactus you're doing, most of them are very similar. They like a very, very well-draining mix. Usually they like a gritty mix. You want to try to avoid peat moss. But in this situation, I'm fine because I've got other things to allow it to drain freely. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. Show me your aloe veras. Are yours growing like mad as well, or do you have problems growing them? Love to see them. Show me your photos. I'm on Instagram under Plants and Things. I'm also on Facebook. Join the Plants and Things What's Growing page. It's a lot of fun to see what other people are doing. And some of you have absolutely beautiful displays. Your indoor grow spaces are looking fantastic. Mine look like hell, but yours are looking really, really nice. Hopefully I can take some pointers from some of you to make mine a little bit cleaner. So anyway, happy growing everyone, and until next time. Somebody asked, how are the sugar canes growing? Well, the sugar canes don't look very nice. Not at all. They ended up dying. I don't know whether it was due to the lack of light.